And we're live. Let's see somebody. Can you guys see how many folks are watching or no? Or only I can see that.
I
I
just
think
see that says live, but no one's watching on my end.
I couldn't see it yesterday either. Is that? Oh no, it shows 0.
Okay.
Okay, it's in the top left corner.
Close. Okay. Alrighty, so Andrea, if you want to introduce yourself and just, let the folks know what's going on.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Ortiz. I was born in León, Guanajuato, Mexico. I live in California currently. I'm a DACA recipient. This is gonna be my 6th time applying for advanced parole, my 6th application that I'll be submitting. My first one was 2016 when I was in college. I studied abroad. I went to Hong Kong and Dubai all in one trip. Um, I was the first one. It was very scary, but I don't even know how I had the courage to do it back then, but I did it. My second application was in 2017. I applied to go to Taiwan to teach English. Um, Unfortunately, it didn't get approved because it was when DACA was rescinded. I was literally set to leave those days. The third time I applied was in 2019 as I was advocating for advanced parole. Um, Again, it didn't get approved because they weren't approving any applications at the time. But then, since applications have been approved, I've gone twice. I've applied twice. I've gotten approved for multiple entries both times. I just came back. My last one just expired literally last week, and I'm getting ready to apply for my 6th application this month, hopefully, so I can go in December again.
That is like amazing. We have a lot of questions. So, yeah. You
Where
want
are
to
you going in December?
Wow.
What was that?
Where are you going in December?
I really want to go back to Guanajuato, where I'm from. And so right now I'm debating what humanitarian reason I want to use. I've used my grandmother and I've used my dad, who also lives out there. So I'll probably be using both again. I did apply for 365 days this last time, and they gave me 3 months, which was great. So this time I'm still gonna apply 365, multiple entries. I'm gonna just be more thorough in my application and have like set days that I need to be there. To just kind of give me a little more of an advantage. But again, it's just whatever they decide at the end.
So how does that work? Like for Dubai, do we need like I don't know, like for Mexico, you need like a visa or something? Do you need like a visa or something like
You know what? It was a really challenging experience because I went with a group of students from here, right? I needed a visa to get into Hong Kong and I needed a visa to get into Dubai. For Dubai, you have to be invited by either the airline or the hotel you're staying. And they wouldn't approve my visa because I was holding a Mexican passport. And the reason being was that I was traveling without my older brother or my dad, and I was not married, right? And so it's a thing over there where if you're just a single gal, like it's a little more difficult to get your visa approved. But luckily, I had people advocating for me, like my teacher and my advisor, and the second round it got approved. So I was stuck in Hong Kong for 4 days by myself with my advisor, but then they got me through. I went, and it was great.
that? That is like crazy. What year was that? Did you went to
Uh,
Dubai?
2016.
Wow. So you pretty much got to get invited to go out there.
You just have to have a round way ticket because they want to make sure you don't stay out there.
And you said we need a visa also to go over there.
Yeah. So usually the ones that give you the visas are your airlines or the hotel where you're staying.
Huh.
Or
That
if
is
you have a
crazy.
job.
That
Is
is
that for
crazy.
every nationality or just because you're Mexican?
I know another student that was from Peru and she also needed a visa, but hers got approved right away. So I don't know.
I mean, wow, you was keeping all the secrets. Like, hello, we want to go to what? And now, what was your well, I don't know if any other girls have any other questions for you or Ugo about that, just so we can, let's see here. There we go. Okay. If anybody
Oh,
has,
sorry, I do have a question. Did you try reapplying to teach English overseas?
You know what? I haven't done it yet. I do have a dog that I have to take care of now, but I'm thinking like, okay, I would love to go teach English somewhere. Maybe a shorter time. But yeah, I want to go to Japan. I want to go everywhere. I keep seeing the posts of people going abroad, like other than Mexico, and you know what? I actually, because I didn't go to Mexico right away, I felt a little guilty, because I just went across the world, right? And so now that I've gone to Mexico and I've had those connections, I'm like, okay, like now where to next? So yeah, I'm thinking about where I want to go next and possibly teach English or something else.
so even like that. So are you like a teacher, or like do you
I,
teach?
I do teach. Like right now, I'm a substitute teacher. I also teach inside the prisons. But I have that experience. So, but I don't have a
You're just like a firecracker. I'm just like, what? The president, what?
She's gonna find a
yeah.
reason to apply somewhere.
Well, so okay, so it kind of ties into this because it's called Prison Education Program. It's called PEP, and anyone can volunteer, but they also teach in prisons abroad. So I'm hoping to do that next year with them, and it'll count as a
Yes, that's a
humanitarian
little, you trying to go. That's a little dangerous right there. Like we ain't trying to do all that. You feel me? Like
option. It's an option to go to Africa. It's an option to Europe because that's also where they teach. So
that is
Have you
crazy.
been the Have you seen the prisons in Norway and Denmark? They're like hotels, so it's not dangerous.
I actually did see a show that they had like the little microwave, a little nice, bed and everything, like a prison. I'm like, okay, well, something like that, I'll say okay because it's not like, but we ain't trying to go to like deep end,
yeah,
Guatemala somewhere. We ain't doing that. Hell
right.
no. Um, so right now you said another one. You said another AP.
Yeah, this is gonna be my third one this round. And I'm really hoping to go with my siblings because I have three siblings who are also DACA recipients. I went first, so I was the guinea pig. I came back, and then they applied. But we all went scattered in the last year, and so I really want us to go back together, hopefully for the holidays. So I'm gonna work on our applications this weekend, really. And I don't mind working on all of them because I want to make sure it's thorough, and like we've literally submitted the same application with the same documents, obviously different names, and we all got approved for different things. Like two of us got multiple entries, two of us got single entries, and all of us got different times. So it just goes to show like you really don't have control over it at the end of the day.
Right. So pretty much it depends on like what the officer, how they feel that day, or I mean,
Really.
they're getting a little strict now. So I'm saying that we have to get a little sexy with the affidavits now, and kind of add more than one reason. Like no, for like kind of add one more than one reason, so they don't even have like if they can't deny you for three things. I mean, come on now, like and it could be simple things like let me add an aunt, uncle, or something, or if teaching, if you guys are teachers and stuff, do that. Like I mean, might as well use whatever you have here to or what you do here, your job, whatever, to go and apply for things like that.
I agree.
Let's see now. I know Itzel just got back to Anna. Go ahead and introduce yourself and talk to the folks.
Hi, guys. My name is Ana Brenda Vega. I was born in Iztapalapa, Mexico, so Mexico City. And what I do is I'm a medical assistant in an emergency room. That's my full-time part-time job. I work so many jobs, but that's one of the most important ones that I put every time I want to apply for AP. So the first time I applied for AP was for humanitarian, because again I'm in the medical field. I was trying to take care of my grandmother that was sick. So I got approved one entry for 1 month because unfortunately I didn't find this group, and I did it with a lawyer, so I wasn't aware of the multiple entries, and it was just horrible, horrible, horrible. I literally, out of the month, I only was able to take advantage for 1 week because I live in Florida and my lawyer was in New Jersey. I moved
That is
over.
crazy.
It
Like
was
that is
hard.
Crazy.
Horrible. 30 days. I was so upset. I was only there for 10 days and it felt like five, 3 days at most, within the traveling and trying to make sure that my grandma was okay for that application because I used a lawyer. They helped me with the affidavit letter. They translated everything for me, birth certificate, everything. So when I found this group, I didn't, I looked at the guides, I made sure I watched the videos, I read up on it, and I'm like, I can do this on my own. So I asked my lawyer to like give me my last application, my last DACA renewal, because I was still doing my DACA renewal with her. Now I'm not, but I asked for all my paperwork when I was up in Jersey, and she gave it to me. So I literally had my old AP application and I printed a new one. I printed 3 copies just to make sure that I did it right. This time around, I decided for my second AP that I got approved, I asked for 365 days and I got that with multiple entries for dental. So what happened with dental was, let me tell you, I went to the bougiest area in Florida and I said, I need to get an exam. Very smart. I have no insurance because a lot of the times in Florida, you don't get insurance. You just don't, and it's expensive. So I went and they quoted me about 10K without an anesthesiologist. So I made sure I had that done right. So I was like, okay, fine. I asked for x-rays. I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, listen, I took pictures of the pictures on the camera, like everything. So I was like, okay, fine. Let me build a case. But prior to that, because I was desperate because I do need dental surgery. Like this is like legit. So I'm like, okay, let me apply for insurance. So I went insurance hunting. I have all the letters that I got rejected from the insurance companies. So I decided to put that on the application. So on my letter, I know that I'm talking to them because I'm talking to an officer. So I said what I am, I said what I do, and I've been trying to apply, and attached I sent all the letters of my rejection for insurance. So it was really, it was less that I had to say because I had a lot to show. So everybody asks me the number one question. I'm Mexican, born in Mexico, but I applied for Peru. My mother-in-law lives in Peru, and what I did was that I decided to send her everything, talk to a dentist there, and have him. He did the work. Honestly, he did the translating for me. Thank God he was bilingual. He quoted me. He told me, this is the process. Honestly, in the medical note that he stated, it was only overall with healing and everything, no more than 90 days. But I exaggerated and I was like, all right, I think I need more. Definitely not one trip to do everything I need. So he agreed. We both agreed. We changed the wording and everything, but it was done in Peru. So on my application, I'm like, wait, if I'm gonna, yes, can I take a straight flight? Absolutely. But I'm like, what if it's cheaper to get a connecting flight for whatever the case may be? So I open up my Google Maps and I'm like, well, what are the countries around it? So I'm like, hello. So then I started and I was like, okay,
Period. Let
hello.
me stop. This is what I mean when I get sexy. Like, what? This is crazy.
Yes. So listen, I go on Google and I'm like, okay, Canada, I know is on the opposite side, but I always wanted to go. So I'm like, let me just put that there. DR has nothing to do with it, but I said, let me add that there because I might want to go there. I put Colombia because it's really close to Peru. I also put Brazil, and I put like so many countries that are just around it because I'm like, you know what? Let me go. I want to go. But I also did plan on going to those countries to get quotes just to see which place was going to be cheaper since I have the three. Well, I didn't know I was going to get the year approved, but I did it anyway. So once I did that, I printed everything, and I honestly, my packet was so thick of just explanations of like why I needed this. It was urgent. I actually, before I submitted my application, I took a risk, and I don't know if you guys see on my post that I applied for an info pass because at that point I had like an infection in my tooth, which is why I'm like, okay, infection, fine. Let me see if I can do the info pass. I didn't know that at the info pass you can only get 30 days. Thank God they rejected me and they denied me because I was like, you know what? Let me go to a doctor. Let me get some antibiotic. Let me get some pain medication, rough it out until I submitted my application, and I'm like, all right, let me just wait for that. So that's why you guys see me going to Colombia. I went there already. I just came back from Mexico.
Crazy. This is like crazy. Oh my God.
But let
Like,
me tell you, I explained, like, I literally was crying when I was writing this letter because I don't think a lot of people know the importance of like not having insurance, being, having to pay everything out of pocket yourself. One of my other jobs, yes, I do work at a medical weight loss, but they still don't. Like, I had my actual jobs tell me I don't have insurance and add that there because I'm like, listen, these people have to believe me aside from the rejection letters of my insurances. I applied so many times. I don't qualify for Obamacare. I don't qualify for a lot of things. So I was like, I'm not paying 10,000 plus out of pocket. I was like, there is no way that I'm going to be able to afford all that. So that's my explanation for the multiple entries. And a lot of the times I always get asked, like, can I see the picture? Can I see? Honestly, I can't even go based on memory. Like, I literally took a picture of like everything, my x-rays. You really have to be very detailed. You're basically begging them, when you're like, please, from the bottom of my heart. I literally grabbed every document you guys have on your page and read it. I read stories because there was another girl that also applied for dental. So I read it. I literally went on it. I did not word it word by word. I took it upon myself and I'm like, okay, I'm the one in pain. I'm the one that needs this procedure. And how am I going to convince this person that I really need it? So honestly, it's just gathering everything. I'm not rich. I don't make a lot of money, but I did make it a priority that if I'm gonna fly this often, I'm gonna make it worth it, especially for the year, because I'm gonna take advantage of it. A lot of the times people ask me, well, you're going to Mexico, you're going to Cancun. Yeah, it doesn't mean that just because you're there, you can't do what you want to do. They're not gonna ask you and check on you and tell you, okay, did you get the dental surgery? No, like that's just on you. I also get asked, can you fly from like one country? No, like if you didn't put the application, you didn't put the country on the application, do not by any means way, just because you see other people doing it, do it. You know what I mean? They asked me, well, what excuse or what can I make up for dental? You can't make that up. Dental is just something you cannot make up. Like, dental is something that's on your records. You need x-rays. I took pictures. Now that I think about it, I took pictures with my personal phone. I didn't care how gross it was. I took pictures and I printed them. I went to CVS and I literally legit printed so they actually see, because they can see x-rays, but they're not going to see what's actually going on. So I printed that 10 nasty pictures, but I still did it anyway because I'm like, they're going to really see what's going on. So they really know that I really need this. So I had no shame in, like, talking to my boss and talking to all these people. I actually met it with an insurance lady that was like, hey, let me help you apply. And I know you're going to get insurance. I did not get insurance. So I had her contact information. I attached it, like any way possible that I could have possibly made my case strong. I did. Again, when you cry and you make it emotional, you basically have to sell yourself, sell all your evidence, take a lot of like unnecessary pictures because they're necessary to them. Even the smallest things, I have rejection letters from insurance from 3 years ago. So whatever I gathered, I literally put there. How I find the flights, and a lot of people are like, oh, how did you know what flight to connect? I don't know these things. I just look at it. Like, how do you know what country you're going to connect to? I didn't know. I pulled up Google and they said, all right, let me see what might be. I mean, I've never flown internationally, so I don't know, but I do a lot of research. I see a lot of the people asking me the same things. You're really not reading those guides. You're really not looking at the videos. You're not looking at the comments. You're not, because honestly, it's dummy proof and anybody could do it. And if you mess up with the application, I always took one application and trial and error to kind of see if I make a mistake. Like, you really have to concentrate. Don't, get distracted and come back to it. No, like, take your time. Don't rush through it. I see pictures. I took screenshots of a lot of the things that you guys provided to us. And that's exactly what I use. Like, I had my phone in the application, literally going through each screenshot so I didn't forget any little thing. The money orders, everything else, I mean, it's self-explanatory. You tell us all the time. I literally still watch videos just to make sure that if I, before I get to do my AP process, and if it's not within the year that I have this AP valid, I'm going to apply again. And it might be for the same thing, or it might be for educational, or it might be for whatever, but I'm still going to continue. But again, I personally don't think I would have been able to do it without your advice, Vanessa and Hugo, because you literally guys like gave me everything I needed and some to be able to make my case strong.
That's like amazing. Like you guys, I'm just like, ah, shit. Like what? Yo, that is, that's crazy. Like that you went to like that's a good point. You went to the richest part or like the bougiest part of Florida and went to one of those done, knowing that, you know what I'm saying. Like even though obviously you do need to work, but that's a great tip. I feel like that's something that people need to do. Go wherever you know damn well you ain't gonna get. Listen, it's too expensive,
And you
baby.
ask them, you can ask them for like all this evidence. They are not gonna say no. I
That's
honestly,
it.
thank God, I knew someone that worked there. I ended up getting like the exam. There's Groupon. Groupon has a lot of like you go in for a file for just a regular. Oh, I might need. Just tell me what I need, whatever. And I paid literally for that whole. They did X-rays. They did like the whole. The doctor thought she was gonna get started on me. The whole 9 yards for $22. So personally it was $22, and
Wow.
that whole thing would have cost me like $250 just to get a quote, just to get the hygienist to tell me what I needed to do. Thank God I knew someone, because you can sometimes know people, but other than that I looked it up on Groupon and I was going to do
I
either
mean,
way, whichever one was
I mean,
cheaper.
you got all this. What countries do you have in the AP?
Peru, Colombia, Canada, Santo Domingo, well, Dominican Republic. um
We outside on summer, baby. Look, we
Oh my God, I don't think I remember everything.
that's
Brazil. I definitely
crazy.
have Brazil there. I what's that other connecting? Girl, I have the list, thank God. Because when I
Period.
started booking trips, and I was
I love that. I love
like, yes.
I love that for real though. Like, let me see, somebody asked a question here. Yo, that's crazy though. Like, I feel like that's like a great tip. Like, go to the bougiest place, get that done. I feel like dental is like one of the easiest, honestly. Like one of the easiest. Even if I feel like if you don't have like not too much things going on, like you still wanna get your teeth. You don't know, waiting on side, make something up. Go there, get a
It's
test, and
not only that, but now that I read that you guys like the recent one was like fertility, I am in a relationship with the female, and I would eventually want to get pregnant. So definitely trying to apply for that. So maybe possibly my next application, if my AP process doesn't, I got to figure out my timelines and how I'm trying to do it, because I do want to get my AP started. But down the line, I do see, me trying to go for treatment in order for me to get pregnant, because I'm not paying for that here. And then surgery, I need surgery for my vision, because I have really thick glasses and really bad vision. So I'm like, and again, I don't have insurance, and even with insurance pay, like they don't cover for a lot of things. So I think those two mixed together, aside from dental, if I don't get to do all my dental work, those are just three things there that, again, if I made this case strong, you
go
can
to
only make it stronger, because they know that
work.
everything is expensive here.
That is crazy though. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I believe Cecilia was the one that applied for the fertility and she got multiple entries. We have her video on YouTube too. But I feel like yo, this is what I mean when I say get sexy with these things, man. Like you went like above, and I mean, shit. Like
Totally.
I'm about to apply for AP. You feel me? I'm about to apply for AP. But that's crazy though. Like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so happy that you got all those like countries in there too. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
Well, I
you don't
think
know what's gonna stop
uh,
or at the plane. We don't know. We don't really, I don't travel like that. So I'm gonna say for myself, like I don't not even now. And I don't know what the plane gonna stop. You never know. So hey, you know what? I gotta add this country, that country, just in case.
right.
Don't para
And
por
honestly,
ahí.
when I got back from Colombia, let me tell you, I felt like I was transporting drugs. Like I literally, when I came back from Colombia, is one of the countries that's beautiful. I love it, but the people do not know a lot about AP. So it was a scary, like I cried there. I cried, and then I came back and I was like, why was I even crying when I knew I was gonna come back anyway? Because I'm like, you know what? And then I heard you say something about you better call Biden, something like that. And
We
I
have
started laughing, but no
like a
joke, I
period.
was literally pooping my pants. Like you're at the airport, they make it seem scary. They're like, I have to see if you're going to be able to board or not. And I'm like, who is this lady? Why is she talking to me like that? Like, lady, please verify me. I'm about to miss my flight. Like, what is wrong with you? I got to go. And I'm literally, they're like calling me back and forth, taking pictures of me, sending it to whoever they got to send it to. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, lady, I'm going to miss my flight. I literally made it 5 minutes before. And I got there 3.5 hours early. So that tells you how much of a hassle Colombia was. So finally, they let me board in Colombia, and I was like literally so scared. I like supervisor this, supervisor that, whatever. Long story short, I get on the plane. Now here, when I got here, a lot of countries are gonna be different. Mexico, they let me in, they let me out. No question. Sometimes I don't even get asked Mexico. They're like, "Oh, you came from Mexico, you're Mexican. Did you bring any alcohol, food? Yes, no, okay, bye." Like, go about your day. For Colombia, because my mother-in-law that lives in Peru met me in Colombia, so we made a trip out of it. She brought me back a lot of stuff. So I brought back two big luggages from Colombia, and they're looking at me like, "Why were you in Colombia for this long?" Blah blah blah. So whatever, I get out, and you have to go through two inspections. I guess depending on the country, I've never seen anything like that, nor have I heard it, but whatever. So I get off the plane, I go during inspection. They literally make you open up your luggage, and they're like, "Why were you in Colombia? Why were you?" And I was like, "Well, I literally went to Colombia to get a dental quote." So I tell the officer, I was like, "Okay, so I'm allowed multiple entries for dental and whatever." He's like, "For dental?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How do you know about all this information?" And I'm like, "Google." Like I Googled like the dentist there, and like I went there, and he's like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I know a lot of people in the hospital that did recommendations, that have people in other countries that do stuff for cheap. So I went. And he's like, "Oh, that's nice of them to just be sending you business." And I was just like,
Like, what
"Why?"
world do you live in? Why wouldn't somebody want to share their business? Like, bye, sir.
Right. Right. So when he said that to me, I literally you panic, because I'm like, he's like, "What else are you bringing in here?" So obviously he saw a lot of the things from Peru and Colombia, from Colombia to here. So he was like, "Who packed your bag?" Whatever. They ask you all these things. But that was like by far the scariest thing, because I guess they see Mexico passport, then you're in Colombia, you have stuff from a different country, and then you come here, and they literally make you open up everything and like inspect everything. So that's the only, with Mexico, really they don't really ask a lot of things. They just, basic information. Where were you there? How many days? Because I'm Mexican, and when I go to Mexico, they literally ask me two questions, and they stamp my passport. How long are you coming from? Do you live here? No. Okay, bye. And when you come back, I fly through either Miami or Fort Lauderdale the most. And again, Mexico, they're like, "Okay, not the I basically see the same officers every time I go through those airports." So even if, for whatever reason the case may be, I am always like, "Okay, this is my last recent." They look at my passport, they see my last DACA stamp, and they're like, "Oh, you travel a lot." And I'm like, "Yes." And that's all I say, because
That's
I don't
nice.
want to give you, I don't have to say anything else, like, yes, like I can't sit here and give you an explanation, but yes, I do.
Let me ask real quick,
So
Andrea. Let me ask you real quick. How was the airport and all that stuff at Dubai? Like, how was that?
I want to say Dubai was the most intimidating immigration crossing, like, because first of all, the way they're placed, they're like really high above, and you just feel like really little. And then also, like, they did the same thing they do here sometimes, where they have to like take a picture of your eyes, scan it. And then they're not friendly at all. They're not like, "Welcome to Dubai," none of that. They're just like super serious, no conversation, all business. Probably the most intimidating experience I've had crossing.
So let me ask now, Anna. Both of you guys. Is it worth it? Would you guys do it again?
oh yeah, absolutely, any day. But I feel
Honestly,
like now I'm smarter. I'm smarter about how I respond, and I'm smarter. I'm like, "Okay, they're gonna let me in regardless of the situation." So I'm just like, "Fine." And you just go in nonchalant. It's still scary. Don't get me wrong. You're in there, and you're like looking at you, and you feel like you're committing a crime. But they're gonna let me in regardless. And I'm like, "Listen, officer, I'm just here to have a good time." And I smile. I answer like the basic questions, and I go about my business.
Period.
Like that's it.
I would say Dubai is worth it because it's beautiful. Obviously, go through whatever you have to go through. Hong Kong was amazing. It was super welcoming. I was like, okay, yeah, they're like welcome, and everybody was super welcoming.
So do they speak like? I mean, I'm pretty sure they speak English, right? Like in Hong Kong,
Yeah,
like do they welcome you
yeah,
like in a, okay, all right.
yeah, yeah. It was a great experience with Hong Kong.
So just a question for not for any reason at all, but Hong Kong doesn't stamp your passport, right?
They don't. They actually give you a little paper and they staple it on.
Okay, no reason at all.
Mhm.
Now we have SMR. So tell us your story. Introduce yourself to the group.
Hi, my name is Ismar Farah Garcia. I am a DACA recipient. This is my first time applying for AP. I just came back on Saturday. Um, I did. I applied for 365 days. I got approved till the end of the year. So, but I took off 1 month off of work, so I can't be taking any longer. So I'm gonna have to reapply. I did go to Veracruz, Mexico. I also went to Oaxaca to visit my suegros. My experience, it wasn't hard at all. It was easy. I followed all the guides that you guys had on the group. Also, I did all the translation, like the medical, but I sent translation team so they can translate the all like the birth certificate and all that other information, but I did all the medical stuff. Um, while
When
I
you were
was there,
traveling in Mexico, how was that? Like, was it hard? Like, do you have to show? I mean, like, did you fly to another state or like just in a car or bus, whatever?
so I was like being there, like I was on a taxi. Sometimes I was with my family. So it was when I was in a taxi, I was really scared because my little one will only speak English, and I was like, "You can't talk English. You have to talk Spanish because we don't know anyone around here." And then when I was with my family, I was like, "Okay, I mean, you're fine. We can talk English. You're okay." But at the beginning, I was a little scared because it was just me and my two girls, and no one else but my family. But I really didn't know them since I hadn't seen them since I was 6 years old. And we we were staying at two different families too. We were staying 1 week with one family, another week with another family. So my daughter wasn't getting used to it either. So she was crying half of the time. So I had to be dealing with her crying. So it was kind of hard, but the whole process of doing it was easy. And I would apply again.
How was your Guardico experience? How was that?
So when I got back, I was there literally 5 minutes. I went through the U.S. citizen line because I had both of my girls, and the officer looked at my paper, took my fingerprints, took my picture, and said, "Well, just follow me. We're gonna go through another supervision." So I went and just sat there 5 minutes. The guy called me over and he said, "How long were you there? What did you go for? And then what stuff did you bring back?" And then I gave him all the information what I brought back, how long, and then just said, "Welcome home."
So what about with the kids? Did you have to write out, like, how like I know folks be saying to like write up permiso to like go take the kids out of the country or something like that? Did they ask you for that?
I had that permiso, but they didn't ask for it.
Okay. And what airport did you fly into?
I went into from Chicago. I went into Houston, Texas, and then I went to Veracruz. I had to do a layover,
And how long were you there?
a month.
Damn, you was there for a month. That's crazy. I remember. I'm like, what the hell is this tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right. I got approved till the end of the year, and I wanted to go back, but since work, I don't think they're gonna let me take a couple more weeks off since I took my 40 hours of PTO already.
Yeah. I mean, shit, you was gone for a month, so
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I liked it.
you know. You never know.
I liked it down there though.
Okay.
It's different.
Now we're gonna go over to Excel. Hey.
Hi everyone. How you guys doing? Can you guys hear me or no? I don't know
Yes.
if my mic is okay. Thank you. Okay, so I came back like around 3 weeks ago. I went to Mexico. I'm from Guerrero, Mexico. So well, it was a little different, like Isamar said, but very interesting. Um, I went alone. It was my first time as well applying for AP. I did it on my own thanks to this group. Thank you to Vanessa and Hugo and everyone else. It was pretty nice. I actually everything went well except when I was coming back. I brought in coming back. I in the airport in the Mexico airport. I bought in 3 bottles of mezcal, right? So and going to I'm from New Jersey. So I landed in Texas in the airport of Texas. I think it was Houston, Texas. I'm sorry. And then I was going to New Jersey, and then the only bad thing that happened to me throughout the whole time, the whole experience, was that when they were checking my luggage, I'm sorry, one of the bottles, I guess it didn't made it through, so they had to like pat me down, and I honestly I was so scared. I don't know why, because throughout the I had read stories about them saying that it was okay for us to bring in that. So just letting you guys know to be careful of what you guys bring in and stuff, because I mean everything went well. Coming back in, they didn't really ask me any questions. They just stamped my passport, and the guy let me go, the agent. After that, that was, I mean, that's it. Nothing really went bad, thank goodness, thank God, except for that time. In Mexico, I stayed there maybe for like a week, because work. I have 3 jobs as well. I am a administrative assistant. I work in a hospital, and I am a notary public. So
Okay, Jaffa, period.
so my schedule is really busy. I'm trying to apply again. My second AP. I'm about to send it maybe next month. And when I was in Mexico, I visited a dentist because my next AP reason will be to go for dental, right? So I during those days I went to go visit a dentist. He gave me a quote, and I already made my appointment for here for them to check me here. I'm from New Jersey, so I'm gonna send that. And also, when I was in Mexico, I took pictures of my father. He wants me to fix his land, and I also want to fix it, right? So I took pictures, and hopefully, maybe they'll approve me for that as well. I'm not sure if that's, but I'm gonna give it a try, And I'm aiming also for multiple entries, so hopefully it goes well. But yeah, guys, everything went well except for that time where they just pat me down, and I was like completely scared. I was like, I'm getting ready to call Vanessa and her team, because I didn't know, right? Well, what was going on. But yeah, I mean, don't be scared to do AP. It's something that I guess we're blessed to have an option to apply for, because there's many people that will love to travel to their country. Um, After so many years, and honestly I was happy, I cried, and it was just very, very joyful for me and something new.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely go and do like Anna did. Take some pictures of your teeth. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're gonna go. Everything's expensive in New Jersey, so anywhere
Yeah.
you go, they gonna charge you arm and leg. Uh,
Yeah, they do.
everywhere in Jersey.
Mm.
Let's answer some questions before we get to Ugo. Let's see. Oh man, saludos. Anita la viajera. Wow, you guys are so funny. Pusiste de grande quiero ser como tú. Hell yeah, man. I'm very like wow today. Like you guys are like I thought I knew something, but you guys are teaching me something today. I'm cracking AP. Do you have the PDF of the steps? Familia Placarte. What are you talking about? The AP stuff? All the guys are there for you. Some of them the guys, but are hard to read. Some of them. If they're hard to read, send an email to support@dreamerstogether.org, and I can maybe have one of the girls send it to you. Canada, yes. How do they give you an X-rays? How do they give you the X-rays? I don't know.
So what I did was, because again, I knew the person, but if you don't know the people that work there, what I suggest you do is that I called the office and I said, can you please email them to me? But the emailed form is just literally a picture of just the X-ray. So I guess they took a picture of the picture. But what I did was, they didn't give it to me in a disc. They didn't. No, it was just email form like this. To hear your X-rays, but I also took a picture while I was there of the screen. Like when they take pictures of you, you take a picture of the picture as well.
Right. Yes. I mean, RFP. They send you an RFP. It takes time, Dalia. We can't rush these things. Honestly, it just takes time. I think Elizabeth, our TikTok queen, it took her 6 months. So, if you want to call, that's something that you can do. That means that we send enough information. I actually just had somebody, I helped somebody with an RFE, and they actually sent back this right here. So USCIS has got me effed up, so we're gonna work on that. That means you didn't send enough information if they denied you. I guess that's for you, Anna, again. Under which reasons you requested those? Well, she did dental, right? It was dental.
Yes, my reason for applying for the multiple entries for the year was for dental, but I just Googled the countries around. Again, I'm from Mexico. I am getting my dental procedure in Peru. So I'm not going to Mexico to get this done. So I decided to just put countries around it. And did I have to show any proof that you were going? No, they didn't ask me for proof, I guess, because of everything and how I basically provided all the information and like rejection letters and pictures. I didn't get, I just got the approval. I never received an RFE. So in that case, I mean, I didn't put the UK for a reason, because that would have been iffy. But
Right.
I personally suggest that if you look at flights and connecting, Panama was the connect. A lot of flights go out of Panama, so I put that country there too, in case it was just cheaper. But I didn't get asked any questions as to why I put those countries.
Nice.
Anna, if I can ask you really quick.
Yep.
So I guess because you requested those countries additionally as layovers, did you explain that in your letter to the officer?
No. So what happened was that I had put why I picked Peru. So I picked Peru because it was just cheaper within the three countries that I had got quotes from. I didn't send all quotes from everywhere because that would have just been too confusing. So I just
Right.
plus the dentist in the country that I picked was able to. He's a family friend, has his practice all professional. I had a business card attached. I looked up his information, validated his license. So if they had any questions, but they didn't ask me any. I didn't have to explain. I personally just there's a section on the application that asks what other countries, and in that I just whatever countries I could fit, I fit, and
Mhm.
then but I didn't have to explain or elaborate.
Right. So then you didn't have to say, "Oh, I also added these countries because of layovers." You just added the countries. You just threw them in there.
Correct, basically.
Wow.
Basically,
That's
I was like, I just have to hope for the best,
That's
I was like,
crazy.
so
I
whoa.
love that.
because I feel like I would have gotten in my head and been like, "How do I explain that I need to that I'm adding that other country
No,
because of that
I had
reason?"
no fear. Like, let
What
me
about
just
the to
apply
Dubai
this.
and Hong Kong? What about it?
What about it? You mean what did she apply for?
Yeah, I think they missed the fact she applied for educational. I think that's the reason they're asking. They probably missed the
Yeah,
beginning.
and then let me tell you something that happened when I applied. Because we were only gonna go to Dubai. It was Abu Dhabi and Dubai, right? So I submit my app. Here I am. I don't know how old I was back then, but I was like, let me submit my app. I submit it, and then literally like a month later, my program from my school was like, "Oh, like great news! We're adding Hong Kong," and I'm over here like, "You can't just do that to me. Like I can't just add Hong Kong. Like I already submitted my AP." So I had to call USCIS and be like, "Hey, this is what happened." And she was like, the officer was like, "Well, you're gonna have to write it in and like email it or mail it or fax it to us and attach it to like your receipt number, etc." So I did that. I was like, also China, like I'm also going to China, right? Because I'm just thinking like I can't just hop on another plane in another country. I never heard back from them. I never heard back if they got my letter. I never heard back anything. I just went, and somehow I made it back.
That's great. Is that like Hugo? Would that be like unsolicited what do you say, the information or whatever?
Yes, yes, it would be.
I mean, so some people say don't send out, don't upload unsolicited evidence, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that there for a reason? You know, like,
In this case, I think because she was going to a different country, I would definitely do it. But if you're just adding, unless your application is really weak and you're just adding an additional reason to go to the same country you applied for, I wouldn't bother. But in your case, that was definitely justified.
okay, so go ahead, Hugo, tell me your story.
I'm gonna go through it really quickly because you all know it already. My name is Hugo. I'm from Brazil. I've traveled on AP 4 times on 2 different documents. Uh, the first one, terrible news. I lost my mother, so it was emergency AP. I did a walk-in, had to cry my eyes out at the door for them to let me in. It was in the height of the pandemic. So they finally let me in. And back then, Brazil was on a travel ban. So I could not fly straight from Brazil to the US. I had to fly to a different country from Brazil and stay there for 2 weeks before I was able to return. So they were only wanting to give me 30 days. And I was like, that's not going to be enough. That's pretty much only going to give me a week there. And then I have to stay somewhere else for 2 weeks. And that's cutting it too short. What if I test positive for COVID? But they were like, that's all we can give you. You're going to have to mail it in if you want more time. And you can do it expedited. So I left the office that day, mailed the application in, but I called USCIS right after to schedule another info pass because I was like, they're not going to get back to me on this thing. So a couple of days later was my appointment, and I went back in and I got a different officer, and they finally gave me 60 days. So I felt comfortable going with 60 days. I was in Brazil for 3 weeks, and I went to Mexico to quarantine, but that was the funnest quarantine I've ever had, for 2 weeks. And then I came back straight to Atlanta. So that was my first time traveling. The questions were pretty straightforward. Why did you leave the country? How long were you gone? Where are you coming from? I said Mexico, and I already provided the explanation without them asking me why I was coming from Mexico and not from Brazil, because they're not really knowledgeable. I don't know if they were aware of the travel ban. So I just said, can't travel straight from Brazil right now. So after that, I already had a pending application from months prior, right? So after I traveled on emergency, I got an RFE saying, hey, we see that you already traveled. Do you still need to travel? And if so, you need to provide us with new dates and additional evidence of the need. So I had initially applied to see my grandmother who has a heart condition. So I had to really think hard about that one because they were arguing, okay, you already went to Brazil, you already saw your grandmother. So I had to add my special needs brother. My mom was his primary caretaker. So he no longer had a caretaker besides my dad, but obviously I made a very good affidavit. Vanessa read it. It was a real tearjerker. I also added my sister who lives in Spain. I was like, if I'm gonna add all I can. So she has very minor health issues. It's like mild anxiety, but she does take medicine. Her doctor did not want to give her a letter. So all I got from her was her prescriptions. And I explained that in my affidavit. I said, because the doctor did not understand the purpose of the letter, I was not able to get one, but here's her prescription. I also included her resident card in Spain to prove she lives there. And once again, I added Mexico and a bunch of other countries for quarantine reasons / connections. I added so many countries, and the way I do it is on the cover letter. First of all, I say in one sentence why I'm applying, the reasons I'm applying in one sentence, just for them before they start reading it, they know what to look for. So I say, I'm applying to see my brother in Brazil who's special needs. Second line, I'm applying to see my sister in Spain who's got anxiety. And third line, I'm adding all these countries because my flights may connect there. And the way I did it in this pending application now was I added all the foreign airlines that fly from Europe to Brazil to here who stop somewhere else. I even added Ethiopia. Ethiopian Airlines, stops in Ethiopia. So I added that. Added Canada, Israel, a lot of countries in South America and Central America. Panama for sure. There are a lot of flights connect there. But I also wanted to say this, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm willing to give you $1,000 if you ever have a problem, just because you're connected in a different country. And it was purely a connection. You're not going to have problems. But I'm playing dumb and I'm still adding all those countries just in case I want to, leave the airport for 24 hours and take a tour. But yeah, so I went to Brazil the first time, in Mexico. The second time I went to Spain and a few other countries in Europe. Then from there, I went to Brazil again, and I came back through Miami that second time. Took me 30 minutes in secondary, no questions at all. Third time, I just went to Mexico for 2 weeks. Came back through Miami again. That time it took almost 3 hours in secondary. I was worried at that point, but it was just because there was a lot of people. Again, no questions at all. And the third time I went to Europe, and like whoever went to Colombia, Anna, with the trouble with, I guess Colombia is a spot for cocaine, right? So I flew into Amsterdam, obviously known as the place where everything is legal. So, and went to Germany from there. And on the way back to the US, we were just randomly selected by a security person, and they started asking questions. So, why did you go through Amsterdam? How long were you here? What did you see? I was like, I'm leaving the country. I'm worried that I'm staying here. I'm leaving, But then I realized it's because of the drugs. Also on the train going from the Netherlands to Germany, you can't even see the border. It's like going from Georgia to Alabama. So there's no border control. But in Germany, the officers did get on the train and started asking for passports just to make sure you weren't an overstayer or something. And they literally looked at me and said, "Are you bringing something you shouldn't?" And I laughed and I was like, "Would I be telling you if I were?" Definitely wouldn't be telling you that. That was the only, not, I wouldn't say scary, but that was the only situation where they got a little harsh. Here, not a lot of questions at all. The third time or fourth time, same thing. I came back straight from Germany. I was expecting them to ask me why I was in Germany because I didn't list Germany. But in Europe, a lot of flights will connect in other countries. So if you're going to Spain, my sister lives in a very small town. And if you're flying there from here, you're always going to stop in a different country. Most of the time it's France or the Netherlands. So you're going to have a stamp from one of those two countries. And then from there to Spain, it's like a domestic flight. So you're not going to have a stamp from Spain. Okay. So I had that explanation, all worked up in my head, but there were no questions at all again. And it took about 5 minutes in secondary. But yeah, the affidavit is really important. So really focus on that. Sometimes you think it may be too much information, but it's not. I don't think they read everything, but maybe if they see a lot, they just get overwhelmed and they give you a year. At least that's what I like to think.
Yeah. That's true. Gotta get right
Um,
those affidavits. Do you think that then with the connecting flights, like I'll be scared to do that. I'll be honest with y'all. Like um but I think like Ugo said, like writing like at the top, pretty much like, this person or this or that. I think that's great. And then, go ham on everything else that you're gonna write. That's great, I think. That's a great tip.
Again, with the connecting flight, obviously save your boarding pass, in case there are questions, you can prove, I was just connecting there. It's not like I was taking a vacation in a different country. Um, and I say that, and I'm pretty confident about it, because also when I did my InfoPass, I was really worried about that because I did not list Mexico at first. And I asked the officer who approved me, I explained to him the travel ban situation, and he said the the permission is for you to come back to the country. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Now, that's not to say you can just go take a vacation wherever, but a connection is not going to be an issue.
So do you guys think, for those of you guys have done multiple whatever, or different countries, should we travel with like with our applications just in case, or that's too
I did.
much?
I personally did. I take it with me and I like hide it, but I have it because I'm like, I'm not gonna get caught out there with no information trying to fight with these people. I'm like, no, no, no. But then they see the paper, and now that I remember, I had one of the officers when I came back from Colombia. She's like, okay, you can go now, and I'm like, ma'am, I need my paper. And she's like, no, you don't. It says for one day. I'm like, no, ma'am. It says multiple entries. She's like, oh, yes, yes, you're right. Here you go. I'm like, you have to pay attention to those things. If it's one entry, they gave me back one copy. But if it's multiple, you get the paper back.
I also travel with, I have everything on my Google Drive on my phone, so I can pull up the application right there in case there's questions. So
Mm-hmm.
I recommend you doing that.
I have everything uploaded. I usually just carry I always make a copy of the AP document and I have it uploaded, and I usually leave one with like a family member just in case. But I also carry my approval of my DACA. I don't know why. I just always carry my 797. Um and I also have like a pending petition from an older sibling from like a long time ago that's still in the process. And so I carry that as well, just in case. But I also had the same experience as Anna when I came in through the Ontario airport in California, and they didn't want to give me my advance parole document back, because she was like, no, docket only gets one entry. And I was like, mine says multiple entries. And she's like, no, that's not a thing. And I was like, can you read it? And then she read it and she's like, oh, and she was so upset filling it out. And she was like, this never happens. And obviously I didn't want to tell her like, this is my second one. And I was just like, yes, ma'am, whatever, And then she was just filling it out and gave it to me. And I literally came back a week and a half ago from Mexico. And the same thing happened to me in LAX. It's my seventh time crossing with an AP document. And the guy was like, oh, I've never seen multiple entries. Like, this is like ones in a million. And I was just like, okay, sure. Right. And I came back 3 days. I know I shouldn't have 3 days before my AP expired. I came back on the 7th and it expired on the 10th. And, I was already giving myself a hard time about that. But I came back, and the guy, I've never really been questioned, but this time I got questioned. And the officer was like, where did you go? And I told him Leon, Guanajuato. And then he was like, how many days? And I told him 46 days. And then he was like, did you know your permit expires tomorrow? And I was just like in my head, like, it's the 7th, And he was like, and then I just told him like, yeah, on the 10th. And he was like, yeah, tomorrow. And I was like, I'm not gonna argue with this guy. Like, if he wants to think it's the 9th, all right. Like, so then he looks at his computer and he was like, oh, what day is today? And I was like, it's the 7th. And he's like, yeah, in 2 days. It expires in 2 days. And I was like, all right. Like, he wanted
Like,
me
okay,
right.
sir, just give me the paper. Let me go.
I'm here now. Like, he just like so angrily filled it out and just gave it back. I was like, I'm out of here. Like,
It's crazy. Well, y'all know my story already. I'll do it quickly because I have like one last question for everybody. I went to the Dominican Republic when they opened up, AP in 2021. I went for 3 days. I actually didn't know much about AP, to be honest with you guys. My cousin had did it a while back, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, let me just do it because at this point, I'm married to a U.S. citizen, all this good stuff, whatever. We went for 3 days. Me and my husband came back. The next week, I sent out my AOS stuff, and 7 months later, I had my green card. I did not get my green card right there and then because I wasn't fully vaccinated. So they needed me to be fully vaccinated in order to give me the freaking like green card. And I was one of those people. I probably still am, like anti-vax, whatever. But I'm like, you know what? I've been here all this time. That's not gonna be the reason why I don't get this green card. Like, we is not doing that. You feel me? Like, nah. Let me go get that little thing done. Sent it out, and they had sent me the camo card. But I didn't use it really, and then I just when I got my green card, I went back to the yard like 2 times. So I haven't really traveled anywhere yet. But I do want to say, like, for most of us that can't get our green card now, just if you're able to do AP, just to do what we need to do that shit, come back like ASAP, and then do what you gotta do for ALS. You know what I'm saying? Some people can't have that pathway. Let's not waste no time. Let's not play around or whatever. Yeah, it's cool. Of course, because most of us can't like be married or whatever the case. At this point, or our partners are not U.S. citizens. Let's not play around with it, right? If we let's go straight to the point. Let's get it done. Let's try to get a green card if we can. Now, um, the guides are great in the group. I want to start doing this maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks, and just have us, so it could be like more personal, on our stories, and people can kind of like relate. Like I didn't even know you could go to Dubai. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I'm about to push that. Like, yo, you need to go to Dubai. Like, and I feel like Anna's explanation was like great. I mean, this is gonna go on YouTube, so you guys can go back and watch it. But that's like just like amazing, like you guys have to get sexy with these things, man. This now, and I feel like whatever happens with DACA, whatever it is, if they open this up, you know how many people are gonna like do this, and we have to make sure that everything is like, look, this is here, this is that, da da da, whatever, and get right with it. But I do have one last question before we go. I want to thank all you guys for being here. I appreciate all of you guys for sure. Helping the group. It's not only me. It's all of you guys helping all the time, and replying back to the folks that need the help too. What would be a second option if they were to take DACA away? I know it's a sad question, but what would be you guys' option, or like what would be something what would you guys do? Pretty much. We can start with Ugo at the top.
Honestly, I would leave the country and try to move somewhere else.
Somewhere else, where though?
Wherever I could go. Possibly start with Portugal, because it's their immigration process there is pretty simple. After 5 years, you get citizenship, and then you can move anywhere in Europe at that point. There's other countries that are open to immigration: New Zealand, Australia, Canada. Um, so it would be really hard for me to go back into the shadows after this long, being able to work legally.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be a tough position to be in.
Mr. Mark?
I would try to talk to my employer, see if there's a way that they could help me out.
I think you should start doing that now,
Okay.
for sure. Oh, I'm reading myself. Itzel?
Wow, that's a really tough question. Um, I guess. Well, how you say, I've been doing like community service throughout my whole year since I was 14. I have been, to the marches when we go fight for the immigrant rights. And honestly, for me, like, even if hopefully that will never happen, right? But if they end DACA, I think I will even go harder and keep volunteering, keep raising our voices, as everyone to get involved, and just try to make changes for them to give us something permanent, because we cannot be like this, like, there's a lot of us who are nurses, doctors. We're very essential, like, this country needs us. So honestly, like, I don't know, but I think I will continue to fight and get involved more than what I'm already doing right now. So I guess like that will hurt me, but I won't give up, and so
So
hopefully we
you
can.
wouldn't go back to, like, let's say Mexico or
No.
another country. It's tomorrow, so you wouldn't go back to Mexico
Um,
or any other country.
mm, um, no, I don't think I can't figure myself living there. Like I like it to visit, like yeah, a month or so, but living there, it's difficult. Like just like when I was there, like the money thing is like, some of my family like paying stuff. It's like they knew I was visiting, so like, and I took money. I was paying half of the stuff like for them, but like them, like they work just to buy food. Like it's hard.
Okay.
I feel like it's really hard living there.
Andrea.
I feel like I would go back to DC and do the same thing in like I did in 2017 and just fight the fight, not to get it reinstated, but maybe for something else, honestly. Like not I wouldn't try to save DACA again. That was just a waste of energy. I would just push for something else, something more permanent, more inclusive for others. And that would be it. Just fight the
So
fight.
you wouldn't go back to your country
I wouldn't. I just don't see myself living there. If I
or
had
any
to
other country.
country, I would probably go to Japan or somewhere else.
Anna.
Wow. I'm like, it's interesting because I'm like, I already have a game plan, and I'm like, let me never pick it up. I don't know. I'm like, okay. So one of my options, I actually am very blessed in my one of my full time jobs. That my boss, he knows my situation. We're trying to see if I can get, AOS through him, through the company. So, and he's like, listen, you're not going anywhere. He's like, you're just as American as I am, and if I have to pay you under the table, then that's what we have to do. The reality of it is that I personally would love to live in Mexico. I love it. I feel, and my fiance is from Peru, so a game plan would be, Canada, to migrate to Canada or to Peru or to Mexico. We would start. She's a lawyer in Peru, so that is easier because you go back home and like they have a house there, so we have a plan if god forbid it doesn't work out. But I would definitely, I mean, even if once I get my green life, I want to have a job, make American money, and leave. I'm not staying here. Like, the plan is not to grow here. You just don't, you come here, you build the American dream. After 22 years, I was able to go back to my country. I pay my taxes, and it's hard. We pay taxes, we do a lot, we don't get a lot back, and we're still like the not wanted. So we do so much for this country, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but I would definitely move here with or without anything.
Yeah, I think for me, well, not for me. If I was in that position, I feel like I wouldn't either go back. It's not the same, like you guys said. It's just not, and the kids are just, my daughter, my 14-year-old wouldn't even last a day. Like, she will like freak the fuck out if her Wi-Fi and she can't text her friends and shit. So that's the no for me. And we live pretty well off in Dominican Republic. And, the houses is big, beautiful. Right next to the airport, all that good stuff. But it's just like just to travel. I think that would be just that for me. I do think also that we're taking I feel like everybody needs to do AP. Since the beginning, I'm like, when I found out about this is why the group is here now. We have to we have to keep pushing, man. We have to support whatever, get more acquainted with the bills and stuff like that, whatever's happening now, and learn more about those things. Same way we learn about AP, learn about the rights and all that good stuff, and get more involved in it, because half of us don't need to be involved. Everybody needs to be involved, because if it affects everybody. It affects you, me, your kids, your grandma, your grandpa. If you work here and send money to your country, that affects them too. If I mean, the U.S. would probably fall apart without us, pretty much, because I'm not there. But we got to get more involved. I think hopefully, and I pray, that the universe bless us with something better than DACA at this point. But definitely, I think we should all, definitely, whoever don't get involved needs to get involved. I know that they do that march out in Washington every year or something. I don't know, you march, whatever, but writing to the folks, to Congress, to all those people, man, support us. Give us something better. I don't know. Like, we have NIMFI, we have somebody else in the group that they don't even have no papers. And when I think about them, I'll just be like, oh my God, like, I'm not even doing enough. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they can't travel, they don't have anything, and they're like my age, and like, and we're blessed, we travel, and I know, you feel something when you see people doing it, and you can't do it. So I really hope that this gives somebody like the spark to if you haven't done AP yet, do it. If you're able to get a green card, get the green card. I think the employer thing now, I think I'm gonna get more people to come on and talk about that, because I think that's very important, especially if we got bosses and stuff that like us a lot. And they are able to help us out with that. Definitely look into that. Get that green life. Let's do that. I want to thank everybody, for doing this. We're coming back next 2 weeks from now. Andrea, I might have some questions for you, because I'm trying to go to Dubai and take everybody to Dubai. You feel me? So appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. And y'all already know, let's get involved, and let's learn something new every day. All right. Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate you. Bye.